The Senate preparing to reconvene on Monday morning, and one of the items at the top of the agenda, of course, is the U.S. China Trade War. Joining us right now is Senator Mike Braun. He serves on the Senate Agriculture Committee. And, Senator, I know you're seeing this front and center, some of the implications of what's happened to this point with this. Where do you stand on our position with China right now?
So I think President Trump has played the whole China thing about as well as you can. You got to remember, it's state capitalism there. It's the Politburo running the country. And what bothered me was when they were about ready to do something several months ago, and just due to the fact that we wanted to enforce it, to make sure they were going to do what they said they were going to do, they backpedal. They're in it for the long game. I think they've got more patience and endurance than we do. And I'm a firm believer that if you don't take them on now, common sense tells you when they're the size of our economy or even larger here in a decade or so, you think they'll be easier to deal with. Their behavior as players in the world economy set them apart by how bad it is. Stealing intellectual property, forced technology transfers, manipulating your currency. They do everything that no one else does. Thank goodness we're holding them accountable, and they are hurting more than we are. They're more dependent on trade. We import about 1/4 as much. It's just crazy that we don't hold them to account now, because down the road it'll be really difficult to do.
You know, I understand everything you're saying and get your idea of looking at long term. I mean, it is good to look at the long term on these situations. But as you mentioned, you think they are playing for the long term, that they potentially have a higher threshold for pain, even if it is hurting them more.
They do, but their economy is more dependent on us than ours is on them. And that's the part you don't hear.
Right.
You don't know if the numbers coming out of the Chinese economy are true or not. Again, it's the Politburo running their state capitalist, economy there, and they've done well with it. But they've done it by shortcutting the process, and I think somewhat ostracizing themselves because of their bad behavior. It's time to take them on now, simply because if we kick it down the road like prior administrations did, it'll be a lot harder problem to solve then.
What do you hear back from your constituency? I mean, you have a lot of farmers in Indiana, too.
I do.
And they're feeling pain at this point. What
and I'm one of the few senators on the Ag Committee that actually is involved in farming. And I've been visiting with farmers and farming organizations through the entire break. Issues in farming go much deeper than the trade war with China. Historically high input costs, historically low prices. Other countries are bringing acres on stream for feed and food. You don't hear about that because most of the media is just talking about the fact the Chinese are smart. They aimed the target at the one group that supported Trump from the get-go, and most of the farmers I know, and I talk to them all the time, want President Trump to hold strong. It is sad in a year like this, when the weather has been one of the worst since 2012 when we had the drought. But we need to find other solutions to the things that ail the farm market, and it's finding new markets, acknowledging that we're in a period of overproduction. Farmers are tough. It's the hardest small business in the world out there, and they'll get through it. They're already looking at other ways to make money on their farm. Hemp production is something I think will start in Indiana soon.
Really?
Look at those alternatives. Don't dwell on the tariffs. We'll get through them.
Just in terms of solutions that you come up with, I can understand looking for new markets and looking for new crops along some of those lines. But what do you do about overproduction? I mean,
overproduction is something that any business, any markets will have to deal with. And that means you're going to have to find other things to do that aren't going to keep overproducing into a soybean and corn market. And there are other options. In industries that get into a trough of low prices like this, it's not going to be easy to get out of it. Back in 2009 through 13, we had the ethanol factor, had some short crops, and the sad thing was when farmers did have a few good years, then the input prices went through the ceiling. Increasingly, the businesses that we do business with as farmers are huge corporations that, to me, ought to step in and maybe try to ease the pain, because it's a lot different now than what it was just 10 to 15 years ago. We had a lot of local suppliers. You had many choices. Now you have few.
Senator, the markets are up. The Dow's up over 600 points if you count the futures gains today over the last couple of sessions. Just on this idea that trade talks are going to reconvene next month, markets are hopeful that there will be progress made. What do you anticipate as an end game or a solution? When do you think that might come? What do you think it might look like?
Outside the ag market, the manufacturing sector, it's been a yo-yo of up and down based upon trade talks. I think that's a little disingenuous in the fact that the economy has been so strong due to the Job and Tax Cut Act back in December of 2017. It's kept the market high. The market, I think, is going to probably accentuate any of this stuff like tariffs currently. And my point is, it's only affecting the people and the businesses that went there very aggressively, moving their supply chain. The average business, and I'm one of the few guys in the Senate would know it, I'm a Main Street entrepreneur, it affects our bottom line very little. If you went there aggressively with your supply chain and you want to capitalize on the big market there, you're dealing with the Politburo. Most businesses were smart enough not to put all their eggs in that basket, and I think it's a great opportunity for many businesses to realign their supply chain. And in fact, that's happening. Then the Chinese will really feel the pain.
Yeah, it's a slow and laborious process. Senator Braun, thank you for your time today.
You're welcome.